Hi there, I and my buddy Joe English are sending our regards, and today we would like to do some ACT English section test uh, questions together. So let's share the power of the PBT. All right, so um, today's passage is entitled A Modern Blacksmith. Let's go to the first question. You will probably never find his name in a history book, but to this day, Walker Lee continues to contribute to American America heritage. It should be American heritage. So G, American heritage, is the best answer. Okay. Moving on to question 17. Modern day, yeah, Walker is an old fashioned modern day blacksmith who still practices the fine art of manipulating metal. Yeah, what is wrong with that? It sounds correct. Yeah, so 17 is no change, the best answer. Who still continues to practice? B, who continues to still practice? Who practices still? No. If we read, he's a modern day blacksmith who still practices the fine art of manipulating metal. So, no change. A is the best answer here. Moving on to 18. Okay, read a little bit before. In his words, blacksmithing is no dying art. Walker Lee had began. Of course, this is wrong. No change is not the correct answer. His career in hand forged ironwork at the age of 30. It should be began. He began. So J is the best answer. The best answer for 18 is J. Moving on to 19. The idea of creating an object out of iron, a most intractable material, appealed to him. Okay. Um, what choice is not acceptable? Yeah. So be careful to read the prompt. He's in this question 19. He's not asking about the best answer. He's asking about the one that is not acceptable. Okay. So for 19, the one who is not acceptable would be one of the most intractable metals. No, a most intractable metal, that being iron. Yeah, that one is not acceptable. B is the is the best answer because it is not acceptable. B. All right, moving on to 20. Lee bought his first anvil from 84-year-old Hurley, blah, 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 of Philadelphia, lugging it home to Michigan. Which choice most emphasizes the difficulty of moving the large anvil? Should we say lugging, no change, or taking, driving, transporting? Yeah, so lugging, no change. F is the best answer because it means moving something with difficulty because it's heavy or bulky or something. So F is the best answer. How about 21? 21 should be this anvil weighed 100 pounds, about the minimum size Walker Lee needed to get started in his craft. At this point, the writer wants to express how Lee first began the craft of blacksmithing, which choice would most effectively accomplish this task. No change, because this denotes the time he first started. When we say to get started in this or in his craft. No change, A is the best answer for 21. How about 22? This important tool also made its way back to Michigan. There's no change in that. That's the best answer. F, no change. It is the possessive S. All right, now moving on to 23. All right, what does he say? A little bit before, he said, this important tool also made its way back to Michigan in the back of Lee's 4H bus. Lee had spent the summer carting 4H groups out from Michigan to the East Coast for various county fairs and expositions. There is no need for this here. So D, omit the underlined portion, is the best answer. There's nothing new he's saying here, because after he said this, it made its way back to Michigan in the back of Lee's 4H bus. Then later he says, once Lee obtained his first portable forge, he was ready to build his blacksmith shop. So this part that he took it to uh, uh, various county fairs and expositions, it doesn't add anything to this passage. So it's better if we omit it. Okay. Now moving on to 24. Yeah. Um, Once Lee obtained his first portable forge, he was ready to build his blacksmith shop. Okay. Given that all the choices are true, which one would most effectively introduce the subject of this paragraph? So the subject is that he had the forge and so he could build the shop. Yeah, so no change is the best choice here because he told us how he started his career and how he built his own place as a blacksmith, and that wasn't possible until he got the forge. And then and he's before that he said he brought his anvil from Philadelphia to Michigan and so forth. So F is the best choice. Let's move to 25. It was a crude little shack, but stood for only 9 years. Um, that stood for only 9 years. So B is the best answer. Which standing for is not correct, and stands for also not correct because we're talking about the best. It was. So the best choice here, that stood for. Okay? There's no need to say but stood for. Okay? That stood for is the best answer. So 25B. Well, how about 26? The very first object Lee forged was a long, pointed Hudson Bay dagger. That sounds natural. There's no need to change it. If we look at the other choices, long pointed, no. Long and pointed, yeah. Or long pointed, yes. So it's better to keep it as it is because if we choose H, we should remove the comma. Either we leave the comma, okay, or we say long and pointed. So where do we put a comma between two adjectives? If we can remove it and use and, but we cannot use both the comma and together. The best choice here is F, 26F. How about 27? Okay. Years later, a family event at a family event, Lee, comma, discovered. We should not separate the subject and the verb using a comma. So we should choose D. Later, at a family event. At a family event is like a prepositional phrase, parenthetical that could be omitted. Then, so it would read later, Lee discovered blah blah blah. So, and there's no comma after Lee here. Okay, so D is the best choice. How about number 28? Okay, if we read 28 from the beginning, where it is. Okay. Lee's great uncle Johnny was proclaiming that. We don't say that. We should say proclaim that. Okay. So G is the best answer here. He's talking about the best during the gathering. His uncle proclaimed that Lee's propensity for blacksmithing was in the blood. He was inclined to do that because uh, some people in his family were also blacksmith or coppersmith and so on. So here, G is the best answer. Now moving to 29. Which of the following sentences in this paragraph is least relevant to the main focus. So here he's talking about his career as a blacksmith, and he says the very first object Lee forged was a long-pointed Hudson Bay dagger. Many people refer to it as to this knife as a this dagger, as he recalls the first event. That event, he says, from the minute I saw the thing take shape, I was hooked, still am. Then years later, discovered that the Italian ancestors were accomplished coppersmiths. During the gathering, Lee's great uncle was blah blah blah. So I think number two, sentence two, is not or the least related to uh, the core of the paragraph. He's talking about his career as a blacksmith, how other family members were also in the field, and so on. So if we say the first thing he made was or forged was a dagger, and some people called it a dag. Some people called it a dag is not really related to the argument here. So sentence two, choice A. So 29A is the best choice. Let's look at the last question here in this passage. As an outside observer watches Walker Lee bending and shaping a hot metal, it is difficult to discern. So it should be the same. There's no change. Here he puts it in the present, and the rest of the sentence is in the present. It is difficult. Is it the glowing, and so on. So no change is the best answer here. People who are going to take the ACT next week, or those who plan to take it in April, my advice is to stay calm in the test. And if you have some questions that you couldn't answer, just make any choice through the process of elimination. If you are left with a couple of choices, you need to take your pick and just leave the question and go to the other question. Do the same for the questions you are not sure about. And do not let that negatively affect the rest of the questions, because no matter what, there will always be, a couple questions that you are not sure about. So the best way to deal with that situation is just make your choice, make it a learned guess through the process of elimination, and just forget that question and focus on the next question. Good luck for all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.